time. We'll see if anybody joins up. Yo, what's up, Kuma? Lewis is back. I don't know about if I'm making a full comeback, bro, but I appreciate you tuning in, dude. Really do. Cool. I'll see if a few people join. For nice weather and that, you know, it's actually nice and sunny in the UK for once. It's probably sunny worldwide. Sitting outdoors in nature. I'll break down some fights. But I'll probably, I don't know, if many people join. It's probably a bit of a dead channel, etc. Now, big ups to 3 people in here. I guess I'll go into it and then give it another 30 seconds or so, and I'll get into it. Why did you stop posting, G? Just, yeah, I don't know, man. Just ain't really feeling the YouTube thing, man. It's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, you know. I'm more than happy just doing my own thing really in the shadows. I bet decent amounts of money, man, and the amount of effort I was putting into YouTube compared to what I'm betting, you know, there's a lot of pressure as well, right? You know, I can't come on here, give you guys bad picks, bad analysis. You know, I take the thing very, very seriously. And for me to get like an early YouTube video out, I have to put in a ton of work behind the scenes. And I'm betting tens of thousands a week on the UFC, right? If you have a bunch of bets, you know, you easily turn over a lot of money. And I just thought, yeah. We'll see if we make a comeback, we'll see. Anyways, first fight, we've got what? Silva versus Barbosa. I know there's 2 new fights added with, what's it called, Ultimate Fighter. I haven't looked into them yet, so 2 heavy favorites. One guy was from the DWCS, trains with Hamza, but yeah, Silva versus Barbosa. This is a rematch. You know, Silva's sitting around 1.48. Barbosa's around 2.6, something like that. I think Silva is much more physically imposing. I think physicality plays a big factor in her fights. I think she's a fighter who likes to use her kind of physical attributes, use her size. She's very, very powerful. She's almost got that kind of man strength in a sense. I think she's a pretty good BJJ player. Barbosa, she's pretty well-rounded as well. I think she's been making improvements as well. Good boxing, you know, kind of skirts around the outside, decent BJJ game. She is taking this fight on short notice. I think the short notice nature probably suits Silva more because Silva's been preparing for like a full camp. You know, she's been doing the training behind the scenes. I imagine Barbosa is ready for this one. I have to lean towards Silva in this one. I just think I prefer physicality a lot more. It could be one of those fights that's quite competitive. I could see Barbosa winning the scramble, ending up on top, and it could be like 1-1 going to round 3, and then you have to make a decision in between round 2, round 3 in live betting, who's got the momentum swing going. But my gut all week's been saying Silva just finds a way to kind of edge it out. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Queen Silva. From a betting perspective, 1.49, maybe tiny bit of value on Silva. That's what my gut's saying, but you know, you're not getting any discounts here. You know, you're paying a premium for sure. I mean, the first fight was like back in 2019. I don't think you could really take too much out of it, but my gut's saying that Silva is just going to be able to grind out a decision, most likely. And I think if anyone has the finishing upside and the big moment upside, it's probably going to be Silva. I think she's more physical, more powerful. You know, she's wrapped up a few submissions before in the past, etc. So yeah, Silva is going to be the pick. Angela Rosente, sorry, I can't butcher your last name, saying I miss you. Appreciate you tuning in. And got about the battle fight getting cancelled, man. I thought that was one of the best fights on the card, and I had a pretty strong opinion on that. And I went pretty deep on the tape as well, so I'm fucking gutted about that. I don't know what they're gonna do with battle. You know what I'm saying? Keeps missing weight. You know what I'm saying? So it's a shame because he's an entertaining fighter. You know, he's building up a bit of a fan base, and you know he built momentum, especially at welterweight. He's been forced to move back up to 185, and I thought it was a pretty decent fight for him as well. And Ruzaboyev, I thought he's a bit exciting fight as well, and I thought those two were going to clash. So yeah, I'm trying to think what fight's next on the card. I think it's Barbosa versus Close. I can't even check fight odds because I'm on my phone. So as soon as I close it, the stream goes off. But yeah, Barbosa versus Closer. This is a bit of a veteran fight. This is a tricky fight to predict. My first instinct was Barbosa was going to smash Closer, but Barbosa's coming off basically, it's a 1 year, 6 month layoff. He's definitely shot worn. He's gone through a lot of injuries. He's had a ton of wars, but you know, we know what Barbosa brings to the table, right? You know, he brings a lot of veteran experience. You know, he's very explosive. He's a Muay Thai striker. He's one of the OGs of the fight game. Closer, he's coming off a tough loss against Joel Alvarez. You know, I don't hold that against him, really. I think Joel Alvarez is one of the best fighters inside the division. Absolute monster, absolute beast. Big fan of Joel Alvarez, and, you know, he was a big underdog going into that fight, right? For Close to win this fight, you know, he has to close the distance, pressure Barbosa, you know, make it an uncomfortable fight, push Barbosa up against the fence, up against the clinch, kind of, you know, make it an uncomfortable pressure dogfight. You know, if he goes, you know, toe to toe with Barbosa, you know, outside kind of that kicking range and giving Barbosa a clean technical kickboxing fight, I think even at 39, that sort of fight is going to favour Barbosa. From a prediction standpoint, it's a tricky one, man. It's a tricky one. I don't say this one with like an overwhelming amount of confidence. I think the line should probably be around a pick'em, personally. I think if you go off like pedigree, you go off like past achievements. I mean, even if this fight was a few years ago, you'd probably favour Barbosa. You know, my gut saying probably pretty easy pass type of fight. I mean, I think it wouldn't surprise me if Barbosa looks like a big favourite. I'm going to go with Close though. Would I bet it? If you got like plus 130, plus 140, 2.50, maybe it's a decent bet. But I don't really have a super duper strong read on this fight. And for me, from a betting perspective, this was one of the more easier fights to kind of pass on, but should be a firefight. Over unders, I could see it going either way. I could see a violent finish, and at the same time, I could see a grinding close decision. Checking the chat. Usman says, "Hi, bro. How are you? I'm doing good, thank you, bro. Hopefully you are good." And Angela says, "Oh no, battle fight got cancelled. You know, missed weight. I thought the fight was going to continue, but yeah, I'm trying to think what fight's next on the card, because I can't check my fight odds thing. We've done Close, we've done Barbosa. Trying to think what's next fight. I know the main card. Can one of you guys in the chat help me out? I don't think there's many of you though. Trying to think, what was the next fight on the card? Battle, we've done that one. Hernandez versus Hooper. All right, thank you, Kuma. All right, yeah. So Hernandez, Kuma. Oh, I said Hernandez, Kuma. Hernandez versus Hooper. Yeah, this one got to favour Hooper. personally. I like the developments he's been making. I'm pretty low on Hernandez. I think he looks like a fighter who's probably a little bit mentally defeated. I mean, he's athletically, he's got some good gifts. You know, he's a talented fighter, but he just he struggles to put it all together, in my opinion. Hernandez, I just think he's a bit of a mental midget. Athletically, he's got some good gifts. He's powerful. He's explosive. You know, he's got good good experience. You know, he's fought some killers. The Hooper, I think he's been developing nicely. I think the UFC likes him. They try and give him good matchups. I think this is a nice little kind of step up in competition for Hooper, and it's not too drastic of a step up in competition to the point where it's too big. It's not like a huge jump. He's not going from Jim Miller, Clay Guida to, let's say, like who's a killer inside, like Tuzrukian or something, right? It's like a nice little step up. And I have to go with Hooper. I just think he finds a way to kind of get Hernandez down at some point. I think if you've got like 1.40, I think there's probably a bit of value on Hooper. But now I think the line's kind of accurate. I just think Hooper probably finds a way to somehow tangle Hernandez on the ground, try and find a way to drag the fight down to the ground, and just kind of wrap up like a choke, rear naked choke, even if it's just ground control. Going to go with Hooper. So Onyx says, yo, what's going on? Yo, what's up, man? Appreciate you tuning in, bro. Hopefully you're good. You still training MMA and that, yeah? Long time no see. Half a year. Yeah, bro. Half a year. At this rate, man, it'll probably be another half a year before I'll make a full return. But it's such a good fight card. I thought, why not, man? Why not tune in? All right, so what's the next fight on the card? We're not on the main card, right? We've done Hooper, Battle. I'm trying to think. I can't close my YouTube app as well because, unfortunate. I'm trying to think. What is? Help me out, boys and girls, of course. What is the next fight on the card, please? And Onyx, with your question, Kamzat versus Dricus. I'll do like a full breakdown on it when we go on the main card. But my feel is Kamzat. Kuma says Godinez, then Siriskev, then GM3, then Kai, Jared Murphy, and the main. Okay, much appreciated, Kuma. Thank you so much for entering that. Okay, Godinez versus Andrade. I know there's a lot of money being coming on Andrade. Kind of get it. I think Lupi's a fighter who is a little bit unreliable. You can't really fully trust her. You know, she's prone to making bad mistakes inside the cage. I question her fight IQ. I question her in-fight decision making. You know, I'm not fully sold on her cardio. But I do think she is a solid fighter. I think she has a decent boxing, decent wrestling, good, well-rounded skill set. You know, I think she's tough. I think she's getting kind of better and better. I think she's developing nicely. Andrade, obviously former champion, heavy hands, you know. But my gut has been saying for the past couple kind of years that she's on a steep decline. And I know Jasmine is a very, very kind of physically strong girl. She's a good offensive wrestler, good offensive grappler. And, you know, there's a lot to like with Jasmine. But to me, Andrade there didn't look like she really cared. It looked like she just was kind of willing to just kind of give up. I think Lupi's got more fight in her. My gut just says Lupi finds a way to get it done. 1.65, 1.67 last time I checked the odds. I think the line's kind of fair. I would make Lupi the favourite. And from a betting perspective, you know, I know there's a lot of sharp, respected action on Andrade, but to me, it feels like a Lupi or pass situation and scenario. So Onyx says, you're going to make a full video or just live? I'm just going to go live, man. I might just go live time to time on YouTube if the fight card's good. But yeah. All right, so I haven't listened to the DWCS guy's opponent. Imagine Siriskev, however you say it, he's probably, I know he's a huge favourite. Guy coming in on a couple of days' notice, I mean, it's not looking good. Dana seems to like him, so I'll go with him, but I know nothing about his opponent. GM3 versus Mikuel Olazashik. So, this is a good fight here. This is a striker versus grappler matchup. I mean, GM3 a couple of years ago, I thought he might be done, might be cooked, But, he's been fighting pretty well, and honestly, he's probably made some developments to certain aspects of his fighting game. He's more willing to push for takedowns, engage in takedowns, shoot for takedowns. I actually think his offensive wrestling skills actually improved. Well, before, he kind of just relied on just, flopping to the ground, trying to invite people into his guard. Even his striking over the years has developed. He's not like the fastest guy. He's not the sharpest, most technical, skilled striker / boxer, but he's definitely been making improvements into that area of his game. Lord Mikuel, I mean, I like him. He's going to come forwards. He's going to pressure his opponents. He's got good kind of crispy boxing. He puts the pressure on his opponents, he's just all action. He's over at the Fighting Nerds. So that's probably a pretty good camp for someone like Mikuel, who I think for the Holland fight, he was just like training in his garage with his brother. And for him, having an environment, getting in good grappling with those Brazilian killers, having a proper team behind him, that's definitely a good upside. I mean, if we're going career trajectories, etc., Mikuel's probably on the up. He's only 30. GM3, he's had a long, tough career on a decline, most definitely. Probably from a betting perspective, I mean, Mikuel's probably got the early upside, so I agree with him being the favourite. I mean, if anyone just steamrolls and gets like an early, quick finish, it is probably Mikuel. He's the much kind of effective striker. But historically, his ground game's been a bit of a joke thing. You can't really trust his defensive grappling. If his opponents, get him down, then he's probably cooked. I don't really trust his defensive grappling. So, from a betting perspective, this is one that I haven't properly dug into. I wouldn't be rushing out to bet Lord Mikuel out like odds of 1.40. I'll probably say there is value on GM3. That's kind of my gut feel. I think GM3's got some decent entries for takedowns, etc. And if he can find a way to drag the fight down to the ground like he always does, then he could possibly sink in a choke. Lord Mikuel's defensive grappling's always been suspect. So X-War says Khamzat winning in round 1. I mean, Khamzat's round 1 grappling storm, round 2, even round 3. He's a handful to deal with. So I can definitely see him winning in round 1. X-War said you got £2,000 on it. You got 2,000 quid on Khamzat winning round 1. Let me know how you got the money down on like what bookmaker, please, bro, because to get two grand down on a round 1 prop, bro, that's serious, man. I love to see how you got that down. Did you use betting exchanges, or have you got like, I don't know, like a cooked account? But yeah, or do you use like offshore, maybe for a friend? Maybe you have a friend over in America, or do you use like a PPH? Let me know, bro, because I'm always looking for ways to be able to get more money down and compound my money when it comes to betting. So yeah, Onyx says Khamzat sub round 1, round 2. Like I said, man, very strong possibility, man, because Khamzat's grappling, wrestling is formidable. And Kumar said, if he isn't dead, he is always live. I agree. GM3, man, like, was it the Edmund Shabazian fight? He was getting cooked, and then he finds a way to kind of bring the fight back. Even against the Ridder, he gave the Ridder quite a tough fight, man. The Ridder had to work for that win, and I think the Ridder's kind of proved to everyone that he's a good fighter. I even bet him against Rob. That's probably one of my favourite bets of the year, actually. But yeah, the Ridder's kind of proven everyone wrong. And GM3, you know, he was going toe-to-toe with the Ridder. All right. So we've done GM3. Now we've got a Kai Ascora fight versus Tim Elliot. So this to me is a... Actually, we've got one more comment. Onyx says, did you see Battle failing to make weight by 4 pounds? Yeah, man, that was mad. I mean, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. It's a waste because he's got good talent, good potential, good fan base, but he just can't get it all together. And that fight's been cancelled, which I'm disappointed in because I thought that was one of the best fights on the card, man. Anyways, Kai versus Tim Elliot. This, to me, is a bit of a striker versus grappler kind of matchup. Kai Ascora, he's going to want to keep the fight standing. Tim Elliot, he's going to want to take the fight down to the ground, get his wrestling going, and, you know, dominate on the ground. So, Kai Ascora, I mean, against Pantoja, he kind of impressed me. You know, he used a lot of his athletic abilities, and he showed me a lot of strength to be able to kind of defend the takedowns against Mr. Pantoja. And Pantoja, he's one of the best kind of flyweights we've ever seen, right? And his BJJ is no joke, man. Like, he's extremely high level. What did kind of concern me is that even though Ascora did do a very good job of kind of defending the takedowns, even the kind of forcing his way back up to his feet, you know, he did kind of get tired as the fight progressed, and kind of wore him down, Pantoja did. But I do like his striking. I think his striking is pretty kind of lethal. But we haven't really seen his defensive wrestling get tested properly in recent fights. He's mainly been facing strikers. But from what I see with his striking, I do like it quite a bit. And, you know, he shows me potential of having good kind of takedown defense, good defensive grappling. And he looks very, very kind of tough to hold down from what we've been able to kind of see. Tim Elliot, I mean, this guy's a bit of an OG, big fan of Elliot. He's made me money in the past. You know, I've been betting him throughout the years against Tagier. I remember he was a big underdog there. Tagier would probably smoke him now, but this guy, even against Tagier, he was cheating. He was trying to find a way to win, right? Wrestler, very kind of awkward, funky style on the feet. I think he's a solid flyweight throughout the years. Never going to be champion status, but he can give guys that kind of tier below tough fights, and his wrestling and kind of awkward style is always going to be a tricky fight, tricky style for anyone to deal with. This one here, though, I think he's almost been, last time I checked, it was like 1 year, 5 months, I think, since he last fought. I don't like that for a flyweight. I don't like that with someone his age. So my feel is Ascora. My gut is Ascora. But we do have some question marks with him overall. And you're definitely not getting any discounts. You're not getting a really, really good deal to be able to kind of bet on Ascora. 1.31 was the last time I checked. But something in my gut is just saying Kai Ascora by brutal kind of knockout. But yeah. I'm going to go over the comments. Onyx says, did you see Battle? We answered that one. He also says, Kamzat underweight. I think the scales were improperly calibrated here. Kamzat nutritionist said he was closer to 85 than 83. Kamzat's never come across to me as like a huge middleweight. Like, if you compare the size of Kamzat to someone like the Ridder, I think he's more suited for that kind of 175 division. I mean, I don't think the weight's going to make a huge difference in this fight, just because his wrestling, his strength, like the way he's able to ragdoll his opponents, like his technique, the wrestling is super duper high level. So I'm not too worried about him being a little bit undersized, if that's the case. And I've always thought Hamzat, he's not like a true 185er, because some of these 185ers are just like, they're like 215 light heavyweight fighters fighting down to 185. Foul says DDP, and he says, good to see you back. Appreciate you tuning in, bro, and commenting. And DDP, I think most people picking Hamzat, but there's a strong argument to be made for DDP for sure, because DDP is no joke. You know, DDP is someone I've been backing for years. He's made me a lot of money, and he's a tough out man for anyone. But yeah, we'll go more into that fight as we progress. So next fight we got here, we got Jared Cannonier versus MVP. Obviously, MVP is he's fighting that back up at 185. He's a 170er, but he says politics is keeping him out of fighting at middleweight. Now, I like MVP striking a lot. He just kind of like slows the tempo of the fight down. He gets these guys in a little bit of an awe. He's got a very, very kind of wide karate stance. He's very, very fast. He's a sneaky little striker. Cannonier, this guy is, he's been around forever, man. He's very technically sound. I like his striking again. He's powerful. He's very kind of strong as well, you can just tell. I think Cannonier could possibly have success, maybe pushing MVP up against the fence, you know, wearing on him. It wouldn't surprise me at all for Cannonier to kind of look for a takedown, to be honest with you. I mean, MVP's kind of ground game off his back has never looked great, to be honest with you. You know, it looks like a potential weakness there for him to exploit. On the feet, I have to favour MVP. My gut just says MVP. I just like MVP striking here more. Cannonier can maybe land a big shot, but I feel like on the feet, MVP's probably going to have him fighting at his pace, his tempo, his kind of aura. And I just feel like MVP's probably the fresher fighter here. I think I don't really like how much damage Cannonier took again, 841. I mean, I was kind of skeptical on the damage he's been taking recently. But that kind of Robocop fight was not an easy fight, man. That was a tough war, bro. That was a tough fight. He took damage in round one. And, you know, it was impressive how Cannonier was able to come back and beating up Robocop. That's no joke, man. That's no joke. I respect it a lot, but it's just unnecessary damage that he took. And to me, Robocop kind of gassed himself out going for the kill. So MVP is the pick for me. Decision or KO. I'm kind of torn on it. I could definitely see a KO. I could definitely see MVP catching Cannonier. From a betting perspective, I got some of the early lines. I got like 1.61 months ago. Like, this is one of those lines that kind of stood out to me. So I got some tickets on MVP, 1.53. Maybe there's some mad value on MVP. Maybe you can kind of cap him at like 7 out of 10, something like that. So around that like 1.4 range. The reason why I say that is because maybe striking fights, they carry more variance. And MVP, you know, he can maybe get pushed up against a fence, pushed up against a clinch. But what's kind of steering me kind of heavy towards MVP here is just I think he's the more kind of fresher fighter who can just give the fight game a couple more years. Well, I just think Cannonier has just been on the way out for a while, getting hurt by Vittori, etc. So yeah, MVP is going to be the pick for me. I'm going to go over the comments. Onyx says, Khamzat won't be undersized. He will look big in there. What he lacks for size, he makes up in strength. Agreed. Khamzat, he's got monster strength, like monster strength. And his technique for wrestling, grappling, super high level. Jake says, hi, bro. What's going on, Jake? Hope you are good, my bro. Appreciate you tuning in. Onyx says, last time Lewis was live was Cannonier on a card. We know he will be live when Cannonier fights next, bro. Yeah, I mean, Cannonier keeps taking fights, and he looks like one of those fighters who's just going to keep fighting till, you know, the UFC is kind of done with him. Kumar says, you don't think Gerald can have a grappling heavy decision? MVP has been controlled by lesser fighters. I think he could. That's a potential path. But I wouldn't bank on it. Cannonier is a striker by trade. I mean, MMA fights, they can play out many, many different altitudes and different kind of scenarios, and fights can play out in so many different ways. So it's not out of the equation. I think that's probably his best path. I could just see Cannonier kind of pushing MVP up against the fence, up against the clinch, you know, pursuing the takedowns. But at age 41, I don't know if he has the cardio fully to have that game plan for 3 rounds. He tried that game plan against Imavov in round 1, kind of gassed himself out a bit there. I wouldn't bank on it, but yeah, it's definitely a path. I know there's actually quite a bit of Cannonier love this week, but my gut just says MVP, and I have to trust my gut here, man. All right, so next fight was it Murphy, then Pico. All right, this is a controversial fight, man. This one's a tough fight as well, bro. Like a really, really kind of tough fight to predict because there's a lot of kind of unknown questions here. I know there's a lot of money that came in on Pico. I feel like sometimes the way these lines move in MMA, it's like 1 or 2 respected cappers are on, let's say, Pico, and then everyone kind of just follows them. But from what I've seen from Pico with his skill set, I mean, I think he's got heavy hands. I think, you know, his wrestling does look good. Like, I'm not going to lie, his wrestling does look good. I think he does a good job of pursuing them, you know, chaining things down. You know, he looks heavy. He looks a lot more kind of physically big, and now he looks more like a man compared to like a couple of years ago. Heavy hands. You know, he's got that kind of aura as well with wrestling, credentials, etc., etc., etc. Murphy, on the other hand, though, he's not an easy out, though. Murphy is not an easy fighter to deal with. I think he can get taken down. I think Murphy is one of those fighters where, yes, you can take him down, and maybe you can have a little bit of success there, but he always kind of finds a way to kind of work his way back up to his feet, and he's not easy to hold down, man, historically, even against fighters against that Brazilian that I'm pretty high on, who took that fight on short notice. I'm trying to think. Santos, and other fights as well, like against Emmett slammed him down, but, you know, he does a good job of working his way back into the feet. When it comes to striking, he's pretty sound there. You know, he's athletic. Maybe not the biggest power puncher, but, you know, he's a solid kind of featherweight for me. I like him a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of unknown questions here with Pico, the level of competition. I think the skill set looks good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like the skills look good, but the guys he's been facing, it is a bit of a joke thing. And I mean, he fought like a 38-year-old Henry Corrales, looked out of shape, looked old, he looked flabby. The fight before that was an easy fight. Even if you go back a couple of years ago against Jeremy Kennedy, yeah, he hurt his arm, dislocated, right? But Kennedy was out grappling him, but he's a lot more mature now. He's definitely been improving, but how is he going to transition into the UFC? I mean, Murphy, he's not an easy fight at all. He's been in there with good guys, good competition, good, well-rounded skill set. A lot of sharp people think Pico is that guy, but I think what's the line, like plus 145, 2.45, 2.5, something like that. If you have a really, 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 really strong read on Pico and you think he's that guy, then sure, you pick him. I mean, when there's like some really sharp people on Pico, it makes me nervous, but my gut says Murphy. Even though it's on short notice, I mean, Pico hasn't fought in, like 18 months or whatever. Murphy faced a high-level competition. He's been more active inside the cage. I think he's pretty tricky to hold down. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I just see it being quite a competitive kind of back-and-forth fight. I think if anyone dominates, it could be Pico in round 1. I think that's probably going to be his best round. But yeah, it's a tricky fight, but I think from a betting perspective, for me, personally, I know that a lot of people disagree, it's Murphy or pass. Kumar says you missed the Neil versus Prates fight. Oh, that's a good shout. I'll definitely cover that one before we cover the main event. And Onyx says, I think it's really wishful thinking, believing Cannonier will try to grapple with MVP. MVP's movement will make it very difficult for Jared. I doubt Jared changes his usual game plan. That's my kind of feel on that fight as well, Onyx. All right, so we've got an interesting fight here. We've got Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. It's mainly going to be a striking fight. My gut feel early was Prates were going to smoke him. I really like his left hand. I really like his kind of left-handed Muay Thai style of striking, but he's had some performances where he's not looked like that kind of premium level fighter. Like against Giles, he was down 2 rounds. He's had some close calls. I mean, against Ian Gary, who I hold in very, very kind of high regard, he didn't get going until round 5, really. Jeff Neal, you know, he's definitely not been the same fighter since, I can't remember, he was like a bone marrow surgery thing that's really kind of took the momentum out of him, but he's not an easy out. He's a tough fighter. He's got good skills. The tape says 1.40 for Prates is a bit wide. I think 1.4 is probably a bit steep if they're just standing and striking. But something in my gut says that Prates is going to find a way to win, possibly by knockout. But it's one where, when I watch the tape and stuff, I mean, Neil is not an easy out, man. He's tough. He's got a nice left hand. He's got good movement. He's been in there with killers. And striking fights tend to carry a lot more variance, right, in MMA, compared to maybe if like Neil was like a really, really good kind of wrestler, grappler. And yeah, but something in my gut says Prates. But from a betting perspective, I know a lot of money's been coming on Neil. I kind of see it. You know, I kind of respect it. 1.4, Prates is kind of getting priced as like a hype, that kind of next level, that kind of next title challenger, and I could definitely see it. But he's had some sketchy performances, where 1.4 might be a little bit steep, but something in my gut says Prates gets it done. But from a betting perspective, I want a much better deal on Carlos Prates for me to risk it. I think I'd want like maybe like 1.6, something like that, but I doubt we get close to that line, to that price on Carlos Prates. I'm going to go over the comments. Onyx says, Murphy KO/points is plus 160 on DK. Just take the money line, bro. Not worth it, in my opinion, dude. Even though that's how I see it, if he does win, is points or KO. Well, what's the difference? What, plus 150, plus 145, even if you get like a really bad price, plus 130, is not worth the price difference. What happens if there's a draw? Do you get what I'm trying to say? And or for what? A few extra points is not worth it, man. What I say is try and get to the path of least resistance to the money. That's my saying, and the money line is much safer, bro. Real ones call them pirates. Onyx saying, anyone saying Carlos has bad cardio and will gas, didn't see the Ian fight, he will have some AI generated gas tank considering he smokes. 1 round fight against Gary. Yeah, I think his cardio is fine, man. And he also fights at a slow tempo, man. So he's not one of these fighters who's like high pace, high pressure, just coming at you for 25 minutes. He's kind of, he likes to set things up, likes to slow the pace of the fight down. So yeah, I think his cardio will be fine. A lot of these Muay Thai fighters, they all smoking that. Obviously, I don't like him smoking. Probably a net negative, but his cardio thing he looked fine against Ian Gary. Kumar says, Murphy is picked by most people as pair topology. 75% picking Murphy. It's kind of worrying most of these times. Public underdogs losers. I mean, sometimes you're against the public. Sometimes you're with the public. Like I say, man, it's a tricky fight to predict. There's a lot of unknown questions. There's a lot of respected opinions on Pico. Like, his skill set does look good. His wrestling, you know, his power, etc. But yeah, it's a good fight. It's a tricky fight. I'm taking the money line. It went down from 155 to 140, and Murphy definitely won't go for a sub. KO/points is inevitable, in my opinion. Yeah, that's, like I say, take the path to least resistance. And I don't think Murphy money line's the worst bet in the world, man. So main event time, Kamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. I really like both fighters. Both fighters have made me a lot of money. DDP, he's athletic, he's powerful. I mean, technically, he's not as bad as everyone makes out. I mean, technically, he's fine, man. I like his striking a lot. I think it's crispy. He mixes up his striking attacks. You know, he's dangerous, he's powerful, he's explosive. You know, he's got 5-round experience, he's got good cardio. Just a very, very, very good fight, in my opinion. And Cam's, this guy's special, man. His wrestling is just phenomenal. Like, his wrestling entries, the speed of them, the way he's able to just ragdoll people and make like high level wrestlers like Usman feel weak, feel like children in there. Like, this guy's wrestling is next level. Like, he's that guy when it comes to wrestling, and the storm he brings, especially in round 1. Like, I don't think there's many fighters in the world who will be able to survive that. And his cardio, yeah, against Burns, I mean, it looked like he was slowing down, but he dug deep and he went hard, right? And that was a fight, but it was mainly where you're standing and striking. It felt like ego was involved in there. And against Usman, round 1 was super, super dominant. It's basically a 10-8. Round 3, you know, he was reserving his energy. Usman was probably the cleaner, better striker, and he still got a takedown right in round 3 against Usman and was able to chain things together. So I feel like the cardio thing's a little bit overblown, personally, in my opinion. I think even if the fight goes down to round 4, round 5, let's say he's gassed a bit, tired a bit, it wouldn't surprise me at all for kind of Khamzat to dig deep and really, really, really push for a takedown and secure a takedown in round 4. And even one takedown could be the round, could be the fight, right? That's how high level Khamzat's wrestling is. So, personally, I wouldn't pre-bet DDP from a betting perspective. I would only pre-bet Khamzat because I do think like all the early upside is with him. I mean, if I was going to bet DDP and if I was to decide I wanted to target from a betting perspective, I'd only look to live bet DDP. I think Khamzat's got the early upside. I think the storm that he brings with his wrestling, the technique, the skill, the strength, the power, the size, just everything involved with his wrestling and grappling, the way he was able to ragdoll Usman, make him look like a child. Like, to do that against Usman, man, that seriously impressed me. So yeah, betting perspective, 1.5. I got some tickets on Khamzat. I don't know how much this line's going to move, to be honest with you. And let's say you bet Khamzat, if the fight's going south, you could probably live bet off him and kind of switch sides during the live. But I felt like Khamzat's destined for that belt. I felt it in my core since day 1. I didn't trust my gut in there, but DDP, he's probably the more technical, better striker, right? If these two were just standing and banging, DDP all day. But I just feel like the wrestling, the grappling is just next level, and my gut says that Khamzat's going to find a way to win, probably round 1, round 2. All right, so I'll go over the comments. Kuma says, just wait till fight night last minute. Last minute money will be coming on Pico. I don't know who's going to come in on the last minute. Sometimes it can be hit or miss. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Line movements are a tricky one to predict. Maybe if you, let's say you like Murphy and you don't want to miss the best of the line, maybe let's say you want to get down like 1 unit on Murphy, maybe get down like quarter unit now, quarter unit tomorrow, lunchtime, and then before the fight starts, you get the rest down. So you kind of get a dollar cost average approach on this line instead of maybe getting in now. Loads of money comes in on Pico. You miss the best of a line. You're kind of kicking yourself, or it could go the other way, right? We don't know. All the late money could come in on Murphy. Who is your most confident pick on this card? Don't really have. I'm one of these guys, man, where I don't have most confident picks. I just look for edges. I look for value. Most confident pick, Hooper maybe. Khamzat. I've just been doing this for so long. I've had so many bad beats where I've been so confident. Even if fighter wins, the judge is getting away. Maybe even Khamzat, because I just feel like the early upside is strong. But yeah, I don't really have any super duper strong confident reads on this. Well, confident. I kind of put my money on it, put everything on it type of feels. I've got a bunch of bets, but it's more targeting things from a moneyline value perspective. Onyx says people will be surprised by Khamzat's cardio, crazy take, but I think with the offensive grappling Khamzat possesses, if the fight goes in championship rounds, Dricus will be the one fading. I could definitely see that because, you know, Dricus is probably going to have to overcome a mad storm with the wrestling, with the grappling. I mean, and if Kamza's on you for even like a round or two, I mean, you saw the panic on Whittaker's face, even on Usman. When he had Hamza on him, he was a bit like, whoa, like what the hell was going on here? And to defend all those defensive grappling, you know, defend the kind of the wrestling entries, that takes a lot out of you mentally and physically. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if DDP's looking a little bit tired as well, man. Impossible says the Mac is back. Appreciate you tuning in. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up, boys. Super duper, boys and girls. No, we don't discriminate here. Super duper appreciate everyone tuning in. Good luck with your bets this weekend, guys. Good pay-per-view. Got boxing tomorrow as well before. So it's a big day for combat sports. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.